Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
When the sun is up, we should come out at night. Don't you know the next sound will go to be understood by a day.
Alright, so this is the 2013 Zero DS model. It's a fully electric bike.
DS stands for dual sport, so you can do some off-road riding with this bike.
So right off the bat, the big thing about this bike, in size and about the bike, is the battery. It's an 11.4 kilowatt battery that is the biggest that Zero offers, with a estimated range of 120 in the city and
76 on the freeway.
which Tony tested out himself.
More on that later.
We'll talk about that later, okay. So when you first look at the Bramo, it definitely feels like a premium motorcycle. Nothing really looks cheap. You've got stainless steel braided brake lines, really nice rims, and it's a belt-driven single drive, and the fit and finish on everything is really nice. And that does come with a price tag of $15,999. So the battery is 11.4 kilowatts of power. You're paying about $1,000 for every kilowatt of a battery, so it's about $11,000 of battery attached to about $4,000, $5,000 bike.
The bike is made locally here in
Yeah.
Santa Cruz, so that's pretty nice if you want to buy American.
So the battery from dead to full takes about 7.5 hours to charge. Its output is 56 horsepower and 68 foot-pounds of torque, so it definitely takes off pretty quick. Looking at the bike, you can tell there's something missing, right, Tony?
Yeah, so the bike is, I guess, one gear. There's no gear, so there's no clutch and there's no transmission. So it's like riding an automatic motorcycle.
Yeah, if it weren't for the $16,000 price tag, I would say this is a great beginner's bike because all you have to focus on is the brakes and gas. So I really liked the dash on this motorcycle. It's really clean, kind of tiny, but you can easily read it at a glance. Oh, and also where your gas tank would be is actually like a little lunchbox guy doodad. You can just pull them out, you got a little handle, and go have a picnic. So when riding the bike around, you have the option of either putting it in sport mode or eco mode. Now, sport mode is a set mode that allows you to have 100% power, top speed, and somewhere around 100% torque. But what you can also do is go into eco mode to either save power or connect to the bike with Bluetooth. You'd go to the App Store, iPhone or Android, download the Zero Motorcycles app, sync it to the bike, and then you can change the profile. And what I preferred to do, I would set the torque all to 100%, top speed, everything to the top, and then you can also set the engine braking so that the battery regenerates. And the feel to that while the bike was slowing down was probably more comparable to a typical motorcycle slowing down, and it felt like a motorcycle should. And if you turn that all the way down, it just coasts, which is kind of weird for me, slowing down.
Yeah. So Brian, how was your few days with this bike? I know you rode it everywhere you went. You did the in and out test.
I did the in and out test. I was able to get to in and out and back without, losing battery. But just the whole riding experience, I really enjoyed. The weirdest thing for me was coming up to an intersection and completely silent.
Yeah. I mean, I was at the light with a guy next to me in a car, and he was like, "What are you riding?" And
Right.
I was like,
And you can hear him perfectly.
Yeah,
there's no
I can hear him
engine noise.
perfectly,
Yeah.
and so I told him it's an electric bike, and he's like, "Oh, so it's like a Prius for motorcycle." I was like,
Kinda.
basically.
And it's not that it's completely silent, because when you're moving, it sounds pretty cool.
So you took it off-road. It's a dual sport.
So yeah, one of the added benefits of having a dual sport is it's not, the sportiest bike on the road, and it's not like the greatest dirt bike either, but you can do both. And it was fun. It was fun to take it off-road. The nice thing about not having a clutch when you're riding in dirt is you don't have to worry about stalling the bike. So two things. Leaving an intersection, you just twist the throttle and you take off, and it goes quick. Like, I would say up to like 50 miles per hour, 0 to 50 is faster than my street bike that I have, my 600cc.
It's faster than mine as well.
But on the dirt, what that translates into is you don't get stuck when you hit sand, which happened to me, and you know, you can just really be easy on the throttle and just kind of dial it in so you feel the back end spinning. There's no engine noise to kind of distract you or anything. You're one with the bike when you're out there on the dirt and stuff.
Damn!
Also, there's single rotor front and rear brakes with steel brake lines, and they worked really good. Like, stopping this motorcycle was not a problem. It's got a fully adjustable suspension too. So it did a really great job. I wouldn't use it for jumping, but it handled, you know, a few bumps and stuff, no problem.
Wait, how much does the bike weigh?
So that's another cool thing. The bike only weighs 400 pounds, and it feels, I mean, when I was riding, it felt really light. Like, all the weight is in the bottom of the bike, and the high bars and the seating position made this super easy to ride around. And it was nice being able to hop the curb at the Twit studio, go up the curb, and then go into the studio and just plug in. So for the few days that I was able to ride this bike, my commute is about 20 miles from my house to Twit, and then I would plug in the bike, and then I would also do some back road riding and go home, which was about another 60 miles, and that was perfect for my commute. I never had any battery anxiety.
I also tried commuting with this bike, and with my current commute, about 45 miles, no problem whatsoever. It's all freeway. It's all uphill, downhill, high wind, over a bridge. Everything's fine, except when I pushed the bike a little bit further, I reached about 55 miles before the reserve charge came on, and it was warning me, so that's when I got off the freeway.
Right.
So it does do their estimated 76 miles if you run the battery drain. Yeah, and battery drain, I think mostly was happening at higher speed. So when I dial things down to 55, everything was fine. Yeah.
So what would you say were your pros for the bike?
I love the pickup. You know, the motor is obviously very efficient and a lot of torque. Torque is so important when you're riding.
One of my pros would be maintenance. So the initial cost of this bike is pretty steep, but the battery is said to last 300,000 miles of charging. And the only things you really will ever have to change is brake fluid, tires, maybe adjust the belt occasionally. Other than the initial cost, maintenance is pretty low for a motorcycle. And another pro for me would be, it's a cool looking motorcycle. Like, I definitely got a lot of compliments riding it around, and people kind of want to know why this bike doesn't make any noise as you're going by.
So what were the things that you didn't really like about the bike?
The bike itself, pretty much nothing. This is a super fun bike to ride, but the two biggest cons are pretty obvious, and that would be price at $15,999 is pretty steep. But I think where this would fit in is it's a good second or third bike. And then the second con, which would probably fit for you more, was range.
The range, yeah. I mean, it's because there's no transmission, you're sort of stuck with that one gear, and so the faster you go, the less efficient the motor is. So it's not the greatest bike for all highway commute like I do.
Right.
But for what you do, where it's sort of mixed.
It's kind of 50-50 for me. So buy, try, or don't buy for the Zero DS. I'm definite buy. It's the most fun I've had riding a motorcycle in a long time, with no clutch, just turn the throttle and go. So buy. You, Tony?
Well, for me, it's pretty obvious that I do need more range in my commute. So for me, it's going to be a try. Definitely plan out your route going to work. If this works for your route, it's definitely a buy.
So that's been our review of the all-electric motorcycle. Back to the studio.